the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally.
We believe that the National Guard and the military occupation is the first step into rounding black people up and putting them in detainment camps here in Washington, D.C.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
People in uniform, be they military, law enforcement, government officials, people in uniform have increasingly been targeted.
Well, folks, heavy hearts obviously playing out with our military and our own streets and our own country taken out by terrorists. We were told that serious events would play out in our country as the deep state goes into panic mode. The shooting of 2 of our National Guardsmen has caused more pain in our country. The Dems are behind it again. The mainstream media, as you saw from the intro, I'll be playing some of these clips. They are the ones that stoke the fire. They're starting what we call a color revolution. I'm going to go through that and explain that today. There's a lot to go through. And we're here for Thanksgiving. We're thankful for our freedom. And we are going to break bread together today. We're also going to remember those that are serving to defend our country in harm's way as if we're in a battle zone. And it's breaking the hearts of many. Now, I wanted to show you as we enter into Thankful Thursday something we have for you guys.
We want to say thank you for your support this year, and for our final Thankful Thursday, we're giving you our new And We Know ornament, a Christmas tote, and a bag of coffee from our partners at Hunter's Blend. Just add anything to your cart and the free gift will be added, and this is while supplies last.
Pretty cool. Pretty cool. We got some Hunter's Blend coffee and some other goodies for you for Thankful Thursdays today. We're very thankful, and just want to let you guys know that if you could send us photos also, if you're wearing merch and you order some stuff, you can just go to our contact button on our andweknow.com site, and you'll go over to send a photo, click on that, and put your name and email, and send us that. We'd really appreciate wearing gear like our new embroidered collection. We've got the Make Heaven Crowded, Jesus Saves, John 14:27. We also have our Follow Me, and We'll Make You Fishers of Men shirts, new men's polos if you golf and more. Also, we have the Aqu water bottles and tumblers and the Truth, Hope, Faith, and Freedom shirts and bag, and it's absolutely amazing. So I hope you guys will go check that out, okay?
It's the steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth. He was flown in by the Biden administration in September 2021 on those infamous flights that everybody was talking about. Nobody knew who was coming in. Nobody knew anything about it. His status was extended under legislation signed by President Biden, a disastrous president, the worst in the history of our country. This attack underscores.
So he talked about the attacker brought in from the Biden administration. We're going to show you some proof of that. He also went after the Somalians that are ripping our country apart.
Where hundreds of thousands of Somalians are ripping off our country and ripping apart that once great state. Billions of dollars are lost, and gangs of Somalians come from a country that doesn't even have a government, no laws, no water, no military, no nothing. As their representatives in our country preach to us about our Constitution and how our country is no good. We're not going to put up with these kind of assaults on law and order by people who shouldn't even be in our country. We must now re-examine every single alien who is in Minnesota, where hundreds...
Re-examine every single one of them. Because, I was watching and looking at stats. I say, you know what? What if those have already come in, somehow were able to claim citizenship? And they're stating that 70% of them are in legally now, right? So what are you going to do about that? And so President Trump, right after we had the shooting, first it was one guardsman, then it turned out to be two. It comes days after 6 prominent Senate and House Democrats claimed in a video that President Trump was forcing the military to break the law. President Trump came out with his statements. He called him an animal, the animal that shot the 2 National Guardsmen, critically wounded, and now in 2 separate hospitals. They're going to pay a very steep price. But there's some proof, and I'm going to show it to you, that there seems to be a coordinated effort behind this shooting. Let me show you this first. As Communist News Network came out right after the shooting, and they started getting info on this Afghan National Guard shooter, Ramullah Lakanamwala.
Here it is. What do you know?
Well, this individual appears to be from Washington State. It appears that he immigrated here into the United States in 2021 as part of the operation to bring Afghanis who had worked with or assisted the United States government over into this country as Afghanistan was beginning to fall.
The Special Immigrant Visa Program, SIV program.
Right, exactly. This was the Allies Welcome Program. He applied for asylum under that program and was granted that asylum in April of this year, although he's been here, it appears, since 2021. So that sets this in a place where the FBI is going to be looking at what was the vetting that was done prior to his arrival here, when he settled in Washington, what has been his activities here in the United States, what brought him to Washington, how long has he been there. But it's going to give them a better direction at this point as they try to get from who is this individual, which they believe they've established, to what is his motive. Now, a number of motives could come up there. One could be that he was disenchanted in the United States. Another could be that he was angry at the U.S. military or felt betrayed and came upon people in uniform when he traveled to Washington. Or it could be something altogether different.
In other words,
of course, all their speculation on these mainstream media networks, I believe, are already scripted out. I'm going to show you some proof of that in a moment. First, just a little bit of a reminder here of the footage of Biden officials, Jen Psaki, remember that witch, and Alejandro Mayorkas, bragging about the program to bring in tens of thousands of Afghans after the botched withdrawal in 2021.
Deemed a security risk of some kind. What reassurances can you make about the screening process and the attempts to make sure that somebody like that doesn't make his or her way here?
I can absolutely assure you that no one is coming into the United States of America who has not been through a thorough screening and background check process.
You're referring to what we termed Operation Allies Welcome, a program that we are very proud of, that we instituted to provide refuge for individuals, many of whom...
Will you be reviewing those they came in on parole? Will you be reviewing them on a case-by-case basis?
We reviewed them on a case-by-case basis, and when those parole periods are subject to renewal, we will do so.
It certainly is. Operation Allies Welcome, which we led in a coordinated effort across the government, is a great source of pride for us to bring to safety in the United States individuals who stood alongside our armed forces in Afghanistan. We support the Adjustment Act, and we are indeed looking at the period of parole, its upcoming expiration, and whether indeed that should be extended.
Wow. Great reminders, right? All these folks saved these videos, put these clips together for us. But you guys didn't realize or remember that in August of 2021, President Trump said this.
And nobody knows who the hell they are, Cheryl. These aren't the interpreters that we taught. These were people that rushed into the planes, and they were so interested in trying to make it sound like, oh, they're doing a good job. These people, many of these people are going to be terrorists, okay?
Wow.
They're going to be terrorists. They were very powerful. They were very energetic in getting onto the aircraft.
They say
But
they're
many-
vetting them very carefully with biometrics and documentation.
They're not doing that, and you can't, because there is no documentation in that country.
He called them out, and the media does what they do the best. Was most of these guys are CIA trained. They put the seed of doubt into all the listeners. Oh, they said they're doing vetting and biometrics, and he said, no, they're not. So it doesn't matter how much President Trump tries to tell people. We know whatever the media says, people believe him out there, those that are brainwashed anyway, and they'll run with it. Now, here's something that was posted by Laura Logan. A news source gathered Louis Montoya, showing that the D.C. Guardsman shooting isn't adding up. Shooter Romulo Lakanwal, CIA-backed Kandahar Strike Force vet, per leaked ID, and Ratcliffe in a Fox News interview confirmed that Lakanwal's ties to the CIA are part of a partner force in Kandahar. You hear that? Ties to the CIA. Based on declassified intel briefings, ambushed 2 unarmed guardsmen at 2:15 p.m. yesterday, and he yelled, Allahu Akbar. Critical, but alive. But Google Trends, check this out. His name spiked in D.C. at 2:24 a.m., 84 interest, 3:28 a.m., 8 a.m., hours before the shots were fired. Was there foreknowledge? We need to subpoena the IPs, the addresses of the people who were doing these Google searches. Laura Logan said the spike in searches of this person's name in the hours before the attack means the people who knew this was going to happen were searching to see if he had completed his task. A known CIA asset who was a trained member of a covert unit of assassins. Make no mistake, whether he came to the United States on an SIV visa or humanitarian parole, he has a sponsor, a handler, and a detailed dossier. They know exactly who he is. The question is, who was he working for on this operation? Who was he working for? How many people knew that he was going to walk up and shoot our American soldiers? And I hope and pray that there will be a thorough investigation at the people that President Trump brought into his administration, those that are in leadership in the DOJ, Ratcliffe, the FBI, and more. They will work diligently to put the pieces together and share it with the public. Now I'm going to show you a clip, several clips, of how they stoked the fire, the politicians and the media, to prepare us for what's going to be what is known as a color revolution. One day ago, Jasmine Crockett called the troops enforcing immigration law slave patrols that target blacks.
I'll say it again. Donald Trump's mass deportation system makes me think of what a modern day slave patrol would look like. Slave patrols were armed groups empowered by the government to control, intimidate, and terrorize people solely based on color. That's what's happening now. Donald Trump is sending mass agents without warrants into communities of color to terrorize the people who live there. And the reason that I want to make sure that I draw out this link, because we heard Maxine say that black and brown is coming together.
Do you think Jasmine Crockett is smart enough to put all that together? Do you think that maybe somebody sat down with a group of folks and they said, let's put this together properly? Let's fuel the fire and get people out there to start looking at race again. And then we're going to send out our politicians to tell them, hey, President Trump is giving these terrible orders. They're illegal orders, and we don't need our military out there on the streets. So they send out Senator Elisa Slotkin to their favorite place, mainstream media.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians. It is a very, very stressful situation for these law enforcement and for the communities on the ground. So it was basically a warning to say, like, if you're asked to do something, particularly against American citizens.
So you're going to shoot American citizens there, military. That's why you're sent in, is what she's claiming. Not protecting the streets from criminals. Not rounding up all of the folks that are actually one American killing another. Not rounding up people that were shipped in from other countries that we don't know, and they've been vetted right, to get them off the streets and send them back home because of all the terror that's being placed in our own cities. D.C. was cleaned up. D.C. had hardly any crime at all. People were proud of their city again. You go out to eat, you don't have to worry about your car getting vandalized anymore. And then you got Democrat leaders claiming the National Guard is rounding up black people. I'm going to show you they just went out there and continued to push this narrative.
We believe that the National Guard and the military occupation is the first step into rounding black people up and putting them in detainment camps here in Washington, D.C. and around the United States of America.
You're following it? So they go in with old Jasmine Crockett. They go on mainstream media and push this narrative that they're going to shoot you. They go out there and say they're targeting blacks. And then you've got the two National Guard members shot outside the White House, right? Here's CNN comparing the National Guard to Hitler's Gestapo.
Essentially, what the president is doing through the Secretary of Defense is creating units, official military units, to, quite frankly, watch the American people. And that's the thing that is absolutely abhorrent. It reminds me so much of what happened in Germany in the 1930s.
This is all part of the Democrats' plan. We are in the middle of a color revolution. And I'm going to share with you what a color revolution is and show you more clips of media, politicians, all in sync on this color revolution. And then I'm going to show you folks on social media posting who were brainwashed, saying that it's great that the National Guard, young men, were shot.
You know, we had a great interview the other day for these wave watches. The power of frequency. I've learned so much about it. And I wanted to let you know, it's in the description box below, the Wave Watch. Improve your health with sound frequencies. And I couldn't believe it at first, but it's actually been working. Here's a soundbite from Linda Bamber Olson, Wave Watch inventor.
Because we're not doing that. We went more the direction of pills. And so that's why people have a little harder time realizing that their body can absorb frequencies through their skin and their bones. They don't have to hear it. So that was so important for me to be able to do that because I'm a deaf person. I'm completely deaf in one ear, and I've had trouble with hearing my whole life. And so I wanted a tool that I could use, that I didn't have to hear.
Oh, wow. Wow. I know a lot. Yeah, so many folks. I met her on the cruise, and I tell you what, we had several folks that had the watch on, and we were testing them out. My back started feeling much better. My best friend actually put it on, had a hard time bowling. His left knee was in a lot of pain. And next thing you know, He was bowling. He bowled 4 games. He said, I could go 10 more. He couldn't even believe it. He normally wraps everything up. He wraps his hand up and more. And he's like, what's going on? This thing is absolutely amazing. They have them in special colors like rose gold, also graphite. They improve your sleep, reduce stress, fight pain. They boost energy. And they are beautiful watches also. So when you use them, you can change to so many different frequencies for your brain health, for your pain, for sleep, and so much more. I encourage you to go check it out, folks, in the description box below. Go check it out. You will be absolutely amazed and reclaim your peace. So this is from Cynical Publius. Thank you for this. Regarding color revolution. There are 3 phases to a color revolution. It's important to understand this so you can see how the actions of the Sedition 6 fit into this pattern. Phase 1, form underground opposition networks. Create strong slogans and powerful information operations as recruitment tools. Upon a certain well-coordinated signal, well-funded, well-organized mass protests spontaneously appear. The armed wing of the movement conducts carefully coordinated precision attacks on certain government infrastructure. Phase 2, discredit the military, security, and law enforcement forces through information operations, coordination with friendly media, Jimmy Kimmel, Talking to You, Comrade Kelly, strikes, civil disobedience, rioting, and sabotage. You are here. And then occupy the civic facilities and refuse to leave until your demands are met. Strengthen and grow a highly organized logistics support network. Issue ultimatums to the government threatening violent uprisings if demands are unmet. The goal to either have the government acquiesce or engage in violent repression, in each case thereby delegitimizing itself. Phase 3, overthrow the government in a non-violent manner that is actually quite violent. Open attacks on authorities, seizure of government buildings, destruction of government symbols. Coordinate media messaging. If the government attacks, media will accuse the government of attacking peaceful protesters. If the government makes concessions, it will appear impotent because protesters will not compromise. Widespread delegitimation of the government is effective in the minds of the populace. The government either willingly codes power or is violently removed. The once underground opposition forces leadership now seizes control of the government. Now I'm going to show you a clip, okay? What the news is actually calling for in light of this color revolution and the shooting of the 2 National Guardsmen.
Felicia Ashley has given us some good reporting about their role in Washington, D.C. since August, because it has been contentious to some. There are plenty of people who did not like the National Guard being here in the city. We don't know if that's the case as to why this person acted the way they did, talking about the gunman. But nonetheless, as Michelle, as you've pointed out, this is a struggle that's been going on in cities across the country right now, where they...
Who is it that didn't like the National Guard being there? Because all accounts of our interviews and folks that were out there on the streets, many of the people in the city said they were happy. And there are other cities of people just crying out, please, President Trump, send your National Guard here. We need help. So who is it that's complaining about National Guard being there? Oh, the criminals, the illegals, the politicians lining their pockets with all those folks out there owning big businesses that are hiring cheap labor from overseas, and they're doing everything illegal. I guarantee you they're part of this because they've had enough of losing their money.
There is a lot of pushback from some, others welcoming them with open arms. But about sending the National Guard, as the president would like, to multiple cities to try and, what he says, cut down on crime. I was in Portland, Oregon just earlier this month, reporting on some of the pushback there, as members didn't like the idea. Members of the political parties there didn't like the idea of the National Guard coming in. But Memphis, Chicago, there are plenty of other places where there's a genuine debate, and you can only imagine that debate is going to get much stronger and intensify over the next few days. And then the quick reaction from Pete Hegseth over at the Pentagon, the Secretary of War, to say, okay, we're sending 500 more National Guard into Washington, D.C.
Amen.
In light of what just happened, shows you that there certainly won't be a scaling back.
Yeah, and there's a question of whether that will agitate more incidents like this. We don't know, but that is something.
You do know. I'm calling them out. They said, well, I don't know if there's going to be more like this. See, because President Trump sent in the troops and he's causing all kinds of problems, and they're sending 500 more. I mean, what we really want is them to just get out of there. So if they continue to, we don't know, but, there might be some shootings going on.
Thing that we will be following in the days ahead. But right now, top of mind is this investigation with this case playing out in downtown D.C. Our Christian Flores standing by. Christian, you have new information for us?
Keep it on. Just want to.
So the news is calling for Trump to withdraw National Guard troops from deployments nationwide due to the increased risk of another attack. Gunter Engelman says, let me get this straight, our military should cower in the face of what's shown itself to be a vast network of people and entities willing to carry out heinous acts of violence? Really? That's exactly what Trump shouldn't do. This kind of act must be met with strongest force possible. And the news is going to do all they can, the mainstream media, because they're part of this whole color revolution. Here's ABC's Aaron Katursky speculating on the motive of the shooting.
A focus will turn to whether these guardsmen were specifically targeted. If that's the case, it would fit with what we've been hearing from law enforcement officials for a number of months now, that some political flashpoints in the country, whether that's immigration policies by the administration, the ongoing Israel-Hamas conflict, even amid a tenuous ceasefire, those kinds of flashpoints have made people in uniform, be they military, law enforcement, government officials, people in uniform, have increasingly been targets. And that is going to be one focus of the investigation going forward, Kira.
Yeah. So let's go into more of the rhetoric from these demonic possessed politicians. This guy can definitely fit the bill for the demon actually manifesting from just the way he looks. Getting sick of these people and what they're doing to our country. Here's Mark Kelly.
What I'm worried about is the reaction and what this transmits to the military and the public, which is basically shut up and listen to that guy. And that's not the way our system works.
So this is an hour before Mark Kelly posted this. The terrorist executed 2 soldiers. This is how a seditious insurrection begins in the color revolution, right? They come out, they put out their spin, they get everybody worked up, and then there's a shooting.
We have loyalty. My oath and every oath every member of the military took is loyalty to the Constitution, not to a person. And he's trying to get some fear out there. And fear can be contagious. Mm-hmm. But what also can be contagious is courage and patriotism.
Yeah. Stoking the fear. And they can't give you an example of any illegal orders that President Trump has done. None. He's cleaning up the cities. He's making everything safe. Kids can go out, ride their bikes in some of these communities now without fear of illegals walking up to them, grabbing them, throwing them in the back of the vehicle and taking off. What do you think they're really scared of? So Jane Meyer comes out and says, this is so tragic, so unnecessary. These poor guardsmen should never have been deployed. I live in D.C. and watched as they had virtually nothing to do but pick up trash. It was for political show, and at what cost? Rapid Response 47 is part of the White House. You sick, disgusting ghoul. 2 of these heroes were just shot in broad daylight. The Guard has saved countless lives backed up by evidence, which you're clearly too stupid to notice.
They are American patriots. Now, let's look at the idiots that follow the mainstream media and these politicians and live off of every single word of these evil Satanists. Listen to this idiot.
Shout out to the patriot who kirked 2 federal agents near the White House. This is exactly how we need to be dealing with violent dictatorships. Embrace our Second Amendment rights. Hopefully they'll think twice about serving this racist administration.
You got it? So he's out there on social media posting videos like this. He's not the only one. I could show you video after video of people out there celebrating death. Celebrating the death of our troops, those that defend this country. They're brainwashed. And then you got Don Lemon. Remember this freak? Urging illegals to arm against federal officers hours before guard troops shot.
Black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for?
Get your guns. You did this when? Hours before the guard shoots. Mark Kelly came in when? An hour before the guard shoots. What rhetoric are they out there saying? Oh, they're coming after the black people. Oh, what does she come out and say, Elisa Slotkin? Oh, they're shooting civilians. What does Jasmine Crockett say? Oh, they're going to come after the blacks. And then they have the Google searching of, did he do it yet? Did he do it yet? How many were connected to this? Who paid for it? How did he get here? What's going to happen?
The president's remarks, I think, were among the most moving that I've ever heard. It was perfect for this incredibly tragic occasion, this heartbreaking, anguishing tragedy right before Thanksgiving. I think she spoke movingly and beautifully to what we've lost, but also demonstrated the tremendous resolve and determination to not only continue the mission these soldiers died for, but to expand the mission, declaring that far from being deterred, the commander-in-chief, our president, is sending 500 more troops to the city to show that no terrorism will sway us. And also having a conversation tonight with America, the conversation that we have to have with President Trump saying that Joe Biden, the Biden administration, the Democrats have inflicted on this nation the worst national security threat in our history. We've never faced a threat like this. 20 million people brought into our country from the most failed societies on earth. Afghanistan, Somalia, Libya, Iraq, brought here. No vetting, no conditions, no rules. Brought here on visas, brought here as refugees, brought here as asylees, brought here as illegals. Brought here in every way imaginable, by plane, train, bus, automobile, by land, by sea. For 4 straight years, they deluged this country. And now more blood is being spilled as a result. What you heard tonight from President Trump, the breaking news here tonight, is saying that his government is going to accelerate efforts to review every person added to this country over the last 20 years, or the last 4 years, all 20 million. Now, obviously, if you're illegal, you're out automatically. But everybody else who is brought here, refugee, asylum status, whatever status, as he said, if you're not someone who loves this country, if you're not any benefit to this country, then we're going to send you out of this country. Because it's enough already. No one else has to die. No one else has to be murdered. No one else has to be shot. No more empty seats are needed at the Thanksgiving table or the Christmas table because of what Democrats have done to this country. So tonight we heard from a commander-in-chief a historic announcement, a brave announcement, exactly what America needed to hear.
Exactly what they needed to hear from President Trump. Not only that, we had J.D. Vance, guys, just to tell you how long they've probably been working on this, they being the enemy with mainstream media and politicians. Don't forget that J.D. Vance pummeled the fake news when Margaret Brennan claimed that Afghans were vetted and safe. They were already trying to get ahead of it.
When you talk to us in
August, you said, I don't think we should abandon anybody who's been properly vetted and helped us. Do you stand by that?
Well, Margaret, I don't agree that all these immigrants or all these refugees have been properly vetted. In fact, we know that there are cases of people who allegedly were properly vetted and then were literally planning terrorist attacks on our country. That happened during the campaign, if you may remember. So clearly not all of these foreign nationals
but there are
have been properly
30,000
vetted.
people in the pipeline, Afghan refugees.
But my primary
Do you stand by
concern
it?
as the vice president, Margaret, is to look after the American people. And now that
So
we
no.
know that we have vetting problems with a lot of these refugee programs, we absolutely cannot unleash thousands of unvetted people into our country.
These people
it's
are
not
vetted.
good.
These people are vetted.
Just like the guy who planned a terrorist attack in Oklahoma a few months ago, he was allegedly properly vetted, and many people in the media and the Democratic Party said that he was properly vetted. Clearly he wasn't. I don't want my children to share a neighborhood with people who are not properly vetted, and because I don't want it for my kids, I'm not going to force any other American citizens' kids to do that either.
No, and that was a very particular case. It wasn't clear if he was radicalized when he got here or while he was living here.
I don't really
But-
care, Margaret. I don't want that person in my country, and I think most Americans agree with me.
Margaret. Oh, Margaret. Trained well, got her earpiece there in her ear, and you can't see it, and somebody's telling her, just keep going, keep pushing, saying that they were all vetted. She has no clue what she's talking about. No clue. She's just reading her talking points. And now we see how they prepped this probably for a while. They wanted the minds of the people of America to think, oh, they've been properly vetted. Everything's been fine. And she does the little snark look there. Did you see that? Little snark look. You guys ever seen that look before? Mm-hmm. The liars. You think that that's the only group coming from the outside causing problems? Well, what happens when a Virginia assistant principal and his brother try to ambush ICE?
Just a chilling plot to attack ICE, potentially with explosive rounds. The man on the right is John Bennett. He served as an assistant principal at a high school in Virginia Beach. DHS says the case is indicative of the more than 1,100% increase in assaults against ICE agents. Joining us now is ICE Director Todd Lyons. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. Rather disturbing details that we are learning about that.
Yeah, Sandra, thanks for having me. It's really scary because unfortunately that's the day-to-day lives now of every men and women in ICE, whether it's a special agent, deportation officer, or our trial attorneys. We're constantly under a barrage of attacks. And unfortunately, a lot of these attacks are being driven by some crazy rhetoric that are coming out of a lot of elected officials. And it's really sad because now you have, plots like this. You have ramming incidents up more than 800%. The doxing is just getting unreal. And it's really scary times right now.
So they are doing all they can to make these crazies, because think about it, folks. If it's just 1% of the nation that they're losing their minds and they watch mainstream media and they listen to the politicians' rhetoric of their side, of the left and the evil ones, they're just going to go out there and start going crazy and wacko. They might even notice it on billboards. Yeah, billboards encouraging military members to dissent against leadership. They're starting to appear. One near Fort Bragg, North Carolina, directing service members to a website that tells them to contact them via encrypted chat. It's been revealed that a nonprofit linked to George Soros is fomenting the sedition within the military. Around the same time, a script went out to Democrat members of Congress urging rebellion within the ranks against President Trump. There are also links to Antifa. On November 11th, just days before the video, the National Lawyers Guild published a page urging service members to refuse illegal orders. Same talking point in the video.
I'm Senator Alyssa Slotkin.
Senator Mark Kelly.
Representative Chris DeLuzio.
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander.
Representative Chrissy Houlihan.
Congressman Jason Crow. I was a captain in the United States Navy.
Former CIA officer.
Former Navy.
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
Former intelligence officer.
Former Air Force.
We want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community
who take risks each day to keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration...
Okay, enough of these freaks. National Lawyers Guild is a support of Antifa. Win Without War has put up a billboard in North Carolina urging chaos and dissent with these ranks, within the ranks. 501c4 backed by George Soros. Open society. As per Data Republican, Win Without War is partnered with the National Lawyers Guild, again, a supporter of Antifa. A lot of information put out, folks, and I've got so much more to get into. So much more. Let's lighten it up a little bit here with Mike at Hunter's Blend Coffee.
Well, happy Thanksgiving from all of us here at Hunter's Blend Coffee. Hey, we wanted to let you know about our Black Friday sale, 10% off on everything that includes already discounted gift sets and bundles. It's a great time to stock up on some Christmas gifts or some coffee for yourself, maybe a t-shirt or our new mugs. We've got our new USA-made mugs, Tastes Like Freedom. The other side has our logo with the flag. Also, while you're there, make sure to pick up some of our new offering, the milk chocolate covered espresso beans. These things are so good. Now, I'll tell you what, they make great stocking stuffers, but you might want to buy a few extra packs, word to the wise, because you don't want to eat all the Christmas gifts, right? So, wishing you and your family and loved ones also a merry and blessed Christmas, and as always, welcome to the Great Awakening.
Gotta love it. Hunter's Blend Coffee in the description box below. You know, they shop American, shop coffee. And they have amazing products, folks, and hope that you guys would check that out. They've been buying the top 6% of specialty coffee beans, roast with precision in small batches, ship locally roasted coffee fresh to your door. And they support organizations and causes that are near and dear to the hearts of many freedom-loving Americans, such as pro-life, youth shooting sports, veterans, hunting and conservation, patriot, and anti-sex trafficking.
What should happen to the seditious six?
Well, they should be held accountable under the law and under the Uniform Code of Military Justice for a seditious conspiracy against the United States of America. This is completely open and shut, straightforward. What is the motivation? Why would 6 members of Congress, selecting specifically for individuals with a CIA or military background, record a carefully written, carefully produced, slickly edited video messaging directly to members of our clandestine services and our armed forces, telling them to disobey orders from their superiors, telling them that they should individually determine whether an order is legal or illegal and defy it. Individuals who are exercising life and death power. The CIA engages in covert missions all over the world involving life and death decisions. The armed forces launches life-taking missions time and time again. They carry weapons. They control drones. They control missiles. They work on nuclear submarines. For what purpose would you ever deliver this message? As you said, it's to create a color revolution. It is the CIA playbook for trying to foment insurrection from within the military and within the CIA. Look, we saw after Charlie Kirk was assassinated, Jesse, members of the armed forces openly celebrating his murder. So think about that for a second. You have people in the armed forces, and it could be a tiny, tiny percentage, but who celebrated the assassination of Charlie Kirk, and then now they're getting a message from Kelly and from other members of Congress saying, defy your commanders. Rise up and defy your superiors. That kind of language will get people killed. It endangers our national security. It is dangerously radicalizing. And it has all of the evidence of willfulness and intent. And when they go on TV and they say, well, we can't name what order is illegal, that proves the point. It was never about the law. It was breaking down the chain of command. The Democrat Party is openly engaged every day in trying to tear down democracy, whether it be judges who are binding the president with unlawful orders, releasing violent criminals back onto the street, trying to cement and protect the illegal alien invasion of America, and now fomenting rebellion inside of the ranks of our armed forces and CIA.
Yeah. So a quick update. Just got this. Breaking: the 2 National Guard members remain in critical condition from Eric Doherty, still fighting for their lives after being shot by an Afghan in D.C. It's only been 16 hours since the shooting, and as of this recording, probably almost 24 hours. Pray for a miracle. We need to pray for their family. We're going to celebrate Thanksgiving, and now you can imagine that parents' hearts broken. I had my son in the Army. I had my other son in the Marine Corps. At one point, they're out now, but just couldn't imagine. 2 West Virginia National Guard members remain in critical condition Thursday morning after being shot blocks from the White House the day before Thanksgiving. They're in critical condition. Suspect taken into custody. We already know that. White House was placed on lockdown following the shooting.
Look, that was a very terrible. That was a traitorous statement. That was a horrible thing to do. I believe they broke the law very strongly. I think
He's talking about the 6 who are out there telling the military to disobey lawful orders there.
I think it's a very serious violation of the law. Yeah.
I know Todd Blanche seems to be looking into it. Your assistant deputy, or your
well,
deputy
I think
attorney.
Pete Hegseth is looking into it too. I know they're looking into it militarily. I don't know for a fact, but I think the military is looking into it. The military courts.
Military courts. Joe Rambo had a reminder. It's the only way. Military courts. Remember they brought in all those JAG folks into D.C.? I think it was 600 or whatever. What must be completed to engage military intelligence over other 3-letter agencies? What must occur to allow for civilian trials? Why is this relevant? What was Flynn's background, General Flynn? Why is this relevant? What is the one organization left that isn't corrupt? Why does the military play such a vital role? Why is POTUS surrounded by highly respected generals? Highly respected generals. Now I'm going to show you what happens when they're after our president. They've tried to take him out, and others. They call it a mysterious death. We call it central bank body count. There are a lot of things in play out there, folks. We have to stay in prayer. But here's a reminder. You ready?
Abraham Lincoln printed millions in government-issued notes, bypassing European banks to fund the Civil War. 5 days after the war ended, he went to Ford's Theater. President McKinley supported the gold standard, while others favored a central bank with a flexible currency. It wasn't long before an anarchist was let into his rally. 3 business titans allegedly opposed the creation of an American central bank. They all took an unsinkable ship owned by J.P. Morgan. He was supposed to go with them, but canceled last minute. That ship was called the Titanic, and the Federal Reserve was founded the next year. Senator Huey Long rallied against the Fed and tried to cap America's wealth. He was shot inside Louisiana's capital. His gunman was killed instantly, with no autopsy, lost evidence, and conflicting ballistics. Congressman Louis McFadden accused the Federal Reserve of high treason for causing the Great Depression. He collapsed after a banquet. The official story? Heart attack. JFK signed an executive order giving the Treasury power to issue silver certificates and bypass Fed-issued notes. You know how this ends. Congressman Larry McDonald, a fierce critic of all global banking elites, boarded Korean Airlines Flight 007. The plane accidentally veered into Soviet airspace. All 269 souls died, and Moscow held the black boxes for a decade before releasing edited data. Thomas Sankara, president of Burkina Faso, rejected IMF and World Bank loans. Shortly after, he was assassinated in a coup. His successor immediately took the loans. By the year 2001, very few countries didn't have Western-controlled central banks. Afghanistan and Iraq were 2 of them. All they needed was an excuse. The ruler of Libya, Gaddafi, proposed a gold-backed African dinar to replace the dollar for oil. NATO intervened in Libya's civil war, and Gaddafi was killed. Libya got a new central bank.
So, interesting video put together as a reminder for all of us. Unreal 4 Democrats held a support session with a previously deported Honduran illegal who's accused of domestic abuse and kidnapping. Juan Vargas, Mike Levin, Sarah Jacobs, Scott Peters. Why do Democrats love foreign criminals so much? North Carolina School District superintendent sent an email to families advising that illegals can stay home and staff will work with them to make sure their kids' education continues. Only 20% of nearby school districts are illegals. We are paying for the education of hundreds of thousands of foreigners who invaded us while Democrats work overtime to protect them. What else do we have today?
Breaking news, another legal victory for President Trump. Fulton County DA Fannie Willis's 2020 election interference case against Trump and his allies is officially dead. A newly appointed prosecutor killed all charges, meaning Trump will not face any prosecution. That prosecutor took over the case earlier this month after Willis was disqualified over a sexual relationship with a colleague.
Why won't they name the colleague, Fox News? Why not? We already know who he is. Oh, Fox sometimes really just bothers me. It's, this other thing that bothered me about Fox is we had television on. Fox had to be playing. My wife was playing, and I was looking, I said, what in the world? Remember they had the story with the transgender male who competed against females in the weightlifting competition and got disqualified? Fox spent the whole time calling that he a she the entire time. You don't know how that irks me. How about you guys out there? Does that bother you? They're like, she was disqualified and she was told she can't have the... I'm like, it's a he. Why do you keep calling it a she? Breaking news, law and justice have prevailed in the great state of Georgia. President Trump said, as corrupt Fannie Willis witch hunt against me and other great American patriots has been dismissed in its entirety. This illegal, unconstitutional, and un-American hoax was perpetrated against our nation by Fannie and her low IQ lover, Nathan Wade. Isn't that amazing? President Trump can actually say the name. But Fox says it's a colleague. Why, Fox? I'm just getting so sick of these guys. Fox is conservative and they're for America, and yet they spend half the time showing you all of how the Democrats think and what their opinions are. It doesn't matter anymore. They're trying to destroy our country. Anyway, Nathan Wade at the direction of crooked Joe Biden and his handlers. This case should have never been brought to in the first place. A radical and unethical district attorney illegally hired her boyfriend to prosecute the former president of the United States of America in a charade, even though he had never prosecuted such a case before, was completely inexperienced in RICO, and blatantly lied about everything, including their beautiful love affair. The ridiculously high amounts of money she paid him, unlawfully taking it from the honest taxpayers of Georgia. Their record-setting numbers of Caribbean cruises, vacations, and getaways, her clear campaign finance violations, and most importantly, their obsession with doing anything and getting everything to get Trump. Just as the Biden White House told them to do. The deranged Democrats did all they could to viciously attack me, my supporters, and our MAGA movement for telling the truth. The 2020 election was rigged and stolen, and they committed crime after crime as they weaponized our law enforcement and justice system against honest and loving Americans. But we have fought back and won both in the courts and politically with our historic country-saving landslide victory of November 5th, 2024. We have to hold responsible those who attempt to destroy our legal system and nation itself as they try to use it to silence and imprison political opponents for protecting our country and exercising First Amendment rights. The few remaining Democrat witch hunts will soon meet the same embarrassing end. We are going to keep winning and continue to make America great again. And then President Trump put this out. There's a new word for Trump public Republican, which is almost everyone. Great policy is the key. It is T-publican, T-E, publican, question, or T-publican without the E. And, of course, the failing New York Times. The creeps at the failing New York Times, says President Trump, are at it again. I won the 24 presidential election in a landslide, winning all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and the Electoral College by a lot. I won our nation's districts by 2750 to 550. It's interesting. He spelled one instead of W-O-N. He spelled it one, the O-N-E. A complete wipeout. I settled 8 wars, 48 stock market highs. Economy is great. Our country's respected again all over the world. Respected like never before. The last administration had the highest inflation in history. I've already brought it down to normal, and prices, including groceries, are coming down. To do this requires a lot of work and energy, and I've never worked so hard in my life. Yet despite all of this, the radical left lunatics in the soon-to-fold New York Times did a hit piece on me that I am perhaps losing my energy, despite facts that show the exact opposite. They know this is wrong, as is almost everything that they write about me, including election results. All purposely negative. This cheap rag is truly an enemy of the people. Thank you, President Trump, for calling them an enemy of the people. Outstanding. The writer of the story, Katie Rogers, who is assigned to write only bad things about me, is a third-rate reporter who is ugly both inside and out. Despite all this, I have my highest poll numbers ever, and with record-setting investment being made in America, they should only go up. There will be a day when I run low on energy. It happens to everyone, but with a perfect physical exam and a comprehensive cognitive test that was aced, just recently taken, it certainly is not now. God bless America. And so, New York Times, they're not the only ones out there with Trump derangement syndrome. This is TDS Lawrence O'Donnell. He's also saying President Trump is in decline.
He is in sharp mental and physical decline. And we now have a number for it. 39%. That is the measure of Donald Trump's physical decline since his first time in the White House. 39%.
Oh, my goodness. He's aging terribly, he says. Trump, at his best age, would have been the stupidest, most incompetent president in history. So they're starting to work up their rhetoric, and they're getting angry, and things are falling apart for them. So they're going to continue their attacks, no matter what, as many times as they've lost. Well, maybe he's been eating Campbell's cream of chicken. Check this out.
Okay, guys, I've just started seeing this stuff on the Campbell's, and I will not be buying this anymore. Right here, it says that it is bioengineered from genetically modified crops. It's even in this turkey gravy. Pause the video and you can see it. Crazy.
That is crazy. My goodness, why in the world are people losing their minds? Oh my goodness. I'm glad I haven't had Campbell's in, I don't know, 15 years, 20 years. Democrat Arizona Governor Katie Hobbs involved in a pay-to-play scheme. Oh boy.
Looks like the governor is heading into a tough re-election fight with a legislative investigation that could hang over her entire campaign next year.
A state contractor that scored a $4 million payday after giving her a very generous political contribution.
Maricopa County Attorney Rachel Mitchell saying she will not stand down in an investigation into a group home which made substantial donations to Governor Katie Hobbs and is now accused of being part of an alleged pay-to-play scheme.
Well, both the AG's office and the Maricopa County Attorney are looking into this. Did this company benefit because of those donations? At the same time, the state was making cutbacks and denying contracts to others.
Reports say local group home Sunshine Residential Homes gave around $400,000 to the governor and state Democratic Party. Later, DCS awarded Sunshine Home a nearly 60% daily rate increase.
That is all I'm going to say right now.
Katie Hobbs. While all the other stuff is going on. Sometimes we forget it, right? About Arizona, huh? But yeah. She's in big trouble. President Trump also put this out for all of us. The United States did not attend the G20 in South Africa because the South African government refuses to acknowledge or address the horrific human rights abuses endured by Afrikaners. So, the other descendants of Dutch, French, and German settlers. To put it more bluntly, they are killing white people and randomly allowing their farms to be taken from them. Perhaps worst of all, the soon-to-be out-of-business New York Times and fake news media won't issue a word against this genocide. That's why all the liars and pretenders of the radical left media are going out of business. At the conclusion of the G20, South Africa refused to hand off the G20 presidency to a senior representative from our U.S. Embassy who attended the closing ceremony. Therefore, at my direction, South Africa will not be receiving an invitation to the 2026 G20, which will be hosted in the great city of Miami, Florida, next year. South Africa has demonstrated to the world they are not a country worthy of membership anywhere, and we are going to stop all payments and subsidies to them, effective immediately. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Oh, my goodness. You think there's going to be some crybabies out there? I don't know. As they're getting ready to celebrate Christmas out there. I saw this one.
All right, time to put up the 2020 Christmas decorations. First, ethnically accurate Jesus goes right here next to Father Mary and Mother Josephine, followed closely by the three genderless wise people on their bird scooters, Tig Notaro for some reason, and of course the little drummer them, because God forbid we call a boy a boy.
We got so much heavy thrown at us, folks. I needed a laugh, and I saw this. I said, you know what? Let's provide them a couple of good laughs for today. Oh, we certainly need it, and we're gonna end in prayer today for those soldiers and their families. But I just needed something, and I found this one too. This is the unexpected happened when spreading grandparents' ashes, and so they spread the ashes, and I can't play it because the music is copyrighted that they're playing here. And so after the music plays, Mom forgot to subscribe to Spotify Premium. So what happens? There's going to be a commercial. So they spread the ashes. The family's there on the boat. Listen to what happens.
This is the quickest way to clear out stuck poop.
The number one food for regular beings.
The fastest way to clear out stuck poop is by adding more fiber to your diet.
Not quite, unless you want to make things worse, of course.
So after they listened to some music, I think the music is sounding like this. Yeah, so they were listening to that, and then all of a sudden they had the commercial pop up, and they got a good laugh, and we need that. It's been so hard, hasn't it, for all of us lately? We certainly do. And so high school track star from Oregon, just wanted to show you this.
I did not receive my medal until recently, but I believe it was sent to AFPI, our lawyers, and then it was presented to me at the Fox Awards show.
Remember, she was the one who stepped off quietly off the podium in protest after being forced to compete against a biological male in the girls' state championship. And so Alexia Anderson finished on the podium, but when the transgender athlete who took first place stood at the top, Alexa chose conscience over celebration and walked away.
I did ask after the fact, after the medal ceremony concluded, we went into kind of a tunnel that leads you back out to the audience. And I asked one of the officials, hey, are we going to get our medals? And she told me they'd be shipped to our school. And then they were never shipped to my school. Of course, I wanted that medal. I had worked super hard to get to that place where I was on the podium. And I was very proud of how I finished. But also a part of me knew that it was part of the sacrifice that I was making when I stepped off that podium, that there were going to be consequences, and not receiving my medal was one of them. There were people who were calling my school, asking me to be expelled, not allowed to walk at graduation. There were people messaging me personally, just saying horrible things, death threats even. And I did have a lot of support, which I am, of course, grateful for.
Isn't that amazing how tolerant the left is? They're so tolerant, so loving. It's all they do is preach tolerance. You will accept us, please accept us. And then, okay, we accept you. Okay, now you're going to accept us or else. Okay, you didn't want to agree with us and you wanted to make a scene. Well, now we're going to kill you. That's how they think. It's ridiculous. They got mental problems. Thank goodness that Department of War, Pete Hegseth said that. They got mental problems. I want to remind everyone of some things Justice Cummins said. No outside comms. There are those out there saying they are tied to Q on the new 9chan boards. First off, if Q was to return, they would need to verify the last trip code used on 8kun. Post 4966 was the last Q post on 8kun on 11/27/2022. This must occur in this way for Q to establish comms back. There are no outside comms. Anyone claiming to be a part of the Q team, it is false. Operators never divulge. They are getting desperate to try to hijack the movement. Don't fall for it, folks. We were told on number 60 on the board, you can count the people who have the full picture on two hands. Of those, less than 10 people, only 3 are non-military. Why is this relevant? Game theory. Outside of a potential operator has been dialed in with orders specific to his or her mission. Nobody else has this information. Operators never divulge. Alice in Wonderland. Remember that in case you start seeing all kinds of rhetoric about the Q. Oh, I know Q and I'm part of Q. Oh, no. Now look at this. A video of soldiers, civilians, looks like EMF, praying at the hospital for those soldiers that are in the hospital. They are there. Holding hands in a circle for those not looking, right next to the entrance of the emergency room. And that's what we love to see. Prayer. And you can hear them. We're going to remember them today. Dan Scavino posted, God bless our truly incredible National Guard. We all stand by you and appreciate everything you do to protect and serve the American people 24/7, 365. Folks, he posted this at 4:58. 4:58 on the cue board says this. He knows what he's doing, folks. He didn't post it at 4:59, at 500, at 5. He didn't post it at 4:57. 4:58. It says this. Thank you all for your trust, faith, and patriotism. We are privileged to serve you. Please pray for those who would lay down their lives to protect our freedom. You are safe. God bless. Q.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, once again, we come before your throne, thankful for all that you continue to do in and through our lives. Thankful for the ability that we have to still have some sort of freedom in this country called the United States of America, and many others are crying out for it also. We lift up the soldiers to you in critical condition. You know them. You hear the cries of their family and loved ones and friends, fellow soldiers, leaders. You know exactly what's going on. And we ask for a miracle to you being the great physician, healing them. May they come out in victory over this terrible, terrible evil that has overshadowed all of us, shattering dreams and future plans and a time of Thanksgiving on this day for several families who are in mourning or hurting, who are by the sides of their sons, their brother. They're hoping, praying for full recovery, and you hear those voices, and we again bring them up before you. We ask for protection over all of those that are on the front lines, many throughout the cities who are obeying lawful orders to remove this filth, this evil that has been placed on all of us day in and day out. We certainly need you. Without you, we could do nothing. We know it. We bring this before your throne on this day of Thanksgiving. In the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior, amen and amen. Folks, thank you for tuning in. Thank you so much for your love, your support, your prayers this year. Again, remember our Thankful Thursday for today. If you go to shop.nweknow.com, you'll get some goodies there. Really beautiful decorations, bag, and a sample from Hunter's Blend Coffee. What an amazing time for us to just enjoy all of you and your prayers. And we hope that, and we just thank you. Just thankful for all of you who would be here without your love and support. Truly amazing. We'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving today. For now, ZLT Semper Fi with Them We Know, signing out.
The steepest possible price. I can report tonight that based on the best available information, the Department of Homeland Security is confident that the suspect in custody is a foreigner who entered our country from Afghanistan, a hellhole on earth,
black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally.
We believe that the National Guard and the military occupation is the first step into rounding black people up and putting them in detainment camps here in Washington, D.C.
Look at these videos coming out of places like Chicago. It makes me incredibly nervous that we're about to see people in law enforcement, people in uniform military get nervous, get stressed, shoot at American civilians.
People in uniform, be they military, law enforcement, government officials, people in uniform have increasingly been targeted.